Hey, thanks for joining me today on this Simple Coach to Coach interview. Appreciate you taking the time and appreciate you having your partner in crime behind you. So thanks for joining today.
I appreciate the opportunity and what you're doing. This is great visibility for, I think, D3 soccer.
Thank you. Thank you. Really do appreciate the kind words. Hey, I'm actually really intrigued with you because Simple Player number 2 is actually really looking at STEM engineering schools and is sort of trying to make some decisions. So I'm going to pick your brain a little bit on that part. Why don't we just start? I'd like to start out with just sort of getting your background. I mean, I know you've been there. I mean, you're a legend at the institution, I would presume at this point. You've been there since 1996. I mean, I think you played there, but maybe you could just sort of go into sort of your soccer journey, how you ended up getting to RIT.
Excuse me. Yeah. Thanks. So, yeah, I became a soccer rat pretty early in life. Next door neighbor was this German who got me into it. Played for another guy, Turkish guy, as a young child who played at Michigan State back when they were a legit program. Had some good people around me in high school who, honestly, I was kind of a casual player. I enjoyed the game, but I didn't take it too serious till I got to RIT and played for Coach Doug May. And I can remember my first preseason, I called home and told my father, I was like, Dad, I don't know how to play. I don't know what to do. I mean, because it was so intentional. Everything you did had a purpose, and it was a collective thing. And, man, I drank the Kool-Aid that preseason and, still taste it, to this day. A way to play, a way to train, about the collective always. Fun way to play. Can be, we were ultra competitive. So I had a great experience in college. I started as a volunteer assistant, finishing up during my 5th year at RIT as a co-op, because of the co-ops we have. Left town for a couple of years to, join the professional ranks, and had worked in a field that I kind of was going to be the way I made my living, and I was doing pretty well, but I missed it. So I moved back to Rochester and started. Had an opportunity to coach part-time as an assistant for 4 years for Mike Pilger at U of R. And then Coach May left, unfortunately, RIT, and I had secured another research position at RIT on the professional side. And when Coach May left, they made the position part-time. So I was fortunate to be able to take the position in a part-time role, which I held for 18 years. I was doing dual duty. And then I think it was around 2013 I was able to step aside from the other gig and go full-time as a coach. So, been a Tiger all my life and love the environment we have. Love I think RIT's we've been on a continual rise since I got there in '83. And we are on a continual positive slope. Enrollment's still growing for us. Our academic standard continues to grow and grow, and we consider ourselves a national university. So, real happy to be where I'm at today, and still got that taste of the Kool-Aid in my mouth.
That's what I'm doing this for. Like, you can. I tell my sons, like, you can hate the game, you can love the game, you can be indifferent about the game, but you never escape the game, right? Like, there's something, if you get bit at some point in life, like, this is what I love, you're just never going to leave, and at some point you always come back to it, and that's what I'm doing. So
yeah.
I'm curious, and I ask a lot of coaches this, especially that have a tenure in the game, a long tenure in the game. Do you think players have gotten better since you first started, or even when you were playing? Are they more intelligent? Do they understand tactics more? Are they more technical?
Good question. It's funny because a lot of people, alumni or other, it comes up.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about it. I try to focus on the now. But, in reflection, I'd say different.
Mm-hmm.
Different. I the game's evolved. We have more information and tools available to us. I hope I've evolved as a soccer person, someone who watches the game all the time and has been coaching for a bit. Um, and I think the players have access now, certainly in the United States, to uh, seeing more of the game at a higher level than we ever did. I remember, you know, Saturday mornings going over to Mr. Jacobs' house, the German guy, and I think it was taped, but the English League was on PBS on Saturday mornings. And then we got Serie A games as I was a teenager on RAI was this, you know, when cable was first starting.
Yeah.
You know, the
Oh my
games like
gosh, RAI, yeah. Those were that's where you got to see the one game or you got snuck in there. Yeah.
that's right, yeah, in
Yeah.
Italian, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the guys have access. The players, men and women, have access to more opportunities to watch, and I think you can learn a lot from that. I certainly the internet and the availability of lots of quote unquote information around tactics and everything else about the game is ubiquitous. But in the end, you know, there's I think certain core things that we got to focus on and have opportunity, especially in Division III, where it isn't a profession, where we have to be mindful of life balance. I think you know, part of our task as coaches is to spend time focusing on the important stuff.
Yeah. 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 You're countless coaches have said they're teachers, they're coaches, but they're also end up being teachers and, you know, in leadership development and a bunch of, especially through COVID, ended up being counselors, you know, like therapists for guys, you know. So you wear many hats, that's for sure. You mentioned this a little bit and why you were so tuned into RIT. Um, how important is team culture to you and your program, and is it something that you do? I mean, is it something that you beat the drum on a lot and try to make sure these guys are bought into a certain way and they conduct themselves a certain way, and you know they're on the bus?
Yeah, you know, I can honestly say, excuse me, um, talk to recruits, and when our team comes in, that we stress that the thing you'll carry with you the longest are the relationships you develop. I mean, that's, you know, my best friends who are still in town or don't live in town were former teammates, guys at my wedding, etc. Godfather to my children are former teammates. And I see that with over the course of my career that those relationships continue to be, you know, whether it's guys that played for me in '96 or guys that played for me last year. My son graduated in 19 and he's getting married this summer, and you know, half his wedding party are teammates.
Teammates, yeah.
So the relationship is real, and I think you know I don't use the word. I know culture's. I'd say I don't want to say it's a buzz because it's real, but our language is a little different. We talk about expectations and we talk about values, and then we try and create an environment or provide an environment which allows people to create so-called culture.
Yeah. That's interesting. Let me ask you, you said you were a national university. Do you recruit nationally, or
Sure.
you
Sure.
do?
Yeah, we have kids from all 50 states on campus, 100 different countries. We've got 5 international kids on the team now. We'll have 7 or 8 next season. And yeah, RIT has historically been a Northeastern draw, but as we've grown over the last 25, 30 years, California is one of the top states for where students come from. So we have that's a great opportunity, but you also have to be careful to not to dilute your efforts and try to be focused. We're still, if you look at our roster, predominantly Northeastern U.S.
Uh-huh. And you mentioned international players. Is that intentional, or will you get engaged in that process, or is it guys coming to you and be like, hey, I want to come to
Historically, it was the latter. I would say in the last 4 or 5 years, we've been more intentional about it. We've kind of viewed it as a opportunity. We've got 2,500 international students at RIT out of our 20,000 students.
Uh-huh.
So for me, it's a potential competitive advantage, and we're trying to be more intentional about it. Some of them come through the New England prep school circuit, others that we've forged relationships with people around the globe.
Yeah.
Of course, we've got 2 Costa Ricans. We've got some people in the Far East that we talk to pretty regularly, although that's become a little more challenging since COVID.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's definitely an intentional approach. It's an element of our recruiting tactics.
Yeah. All right, so let me ask you, without prompting, what if somebody were to come up to you and say, "Hey, how do you think your season went? What's your assessment now that you have some time to digest it and get over any nagging things that you might have had on your mind about it?"
You know how it works.
Yeah.
There's the emotional toll a season can take you on you, positive or negative, but then it's important, as you, I think, get more experience, you'll learn that assessment and anything we do where we're in a process of trying to develop, assessment's critical. So we typically take a month off after the season and don't think too much. We kind of, are there for each other. Generally, unless you win the national championship, you're ending your season on a sour note. So I think we go through that process, and we do it on an individual basis, and we do it on a collective team basis. We look at it from what it looked like on the field. We look at a lot of data. We look at a lot of film, and then we have conversations around the coaching staff and our, what we thought we were trying to do and what worked and what didn't. I think we probably, I would, without question, last season was disappointing. We had some, like every program has, we had adversity. We had some early relative to injury. It's standard. We play this compressed season, preseason, and then jump into games. So this isn't whining, but this was a factor for us that we had to absorb, and we talked about it because it was real. We lost 3 starting backs by the second week of the season. And interestingly, we had one of our better defensive seasons statistically. We gave up 4 goals twice in games, and if you pull those out, we had one of our best defensive seasons. So our attacking phase was really more the frankly, the opportunity that we missed. We finished 8-5-5, and 5 losses is, relatively low amount. The 5 ties with the change in overtime was the most ties we'd had in the season. But I think, we honestly look back and say that, there were easily 12 victories in that season, and that totally relate to how we performed. So we got to be honest and critical, and that's, we start next Saturday, a week from this coming Saturday. A week from Friday, we start our spring season. So we'll get together Tuesday and do some leadership development stuff, and part of that will be, an objective assessment of how things went and what our expectations are moving forward.
Yeah. All right, so I have two questions that popped up. You said you look at a lot of data. Do you, I mean, you guys are a technical school, so it wouldn't surprise me if you do. Do you dive into just raw numbers about how you performed and what you...
Sure. It's one piece, and we don't overweight it. But for example, from the physical load perspective, I think we've become pretty agile using GPS data to help us monitor player readiness, fatigue. That takes effort and time, looking at numbers after every training session, frankly, and after every game. And then from team performance, we've got an analytical package we deploy with our game video and with scouting. So, that gives you visual and you can see things, but sometimes the data helps you focus in on low hanging fruit or things you really got to pay attention to. So we use that in the end, I got it. We're blessed with a fantastic coaching staff of great experience. Yuri Lavrinenko played in Indiana, played in the MLS, where
Mhm.
he's a wealth of knowledge. And Kevin May has coached it, was a help assistant to Ray Reid at UConn, and Trevor at Albany. So we're really fortunate to have some guys with great experience. So I don't want to make it about the data. It's in the
Yeah,
end.
no, no, no. Yeah, it's just a component that always intrigues me. Again, knowing how the seasons are, and there's only so much time that you can involve yourself into anything. So I'm always curious about sort of the use of data and how deep you can go, right? I know Coach Flugrad at Roanoke. I've talked to him quite a bit about his use of data, and it's usually a postseason thing, right? Like they spend time aggregating data, and they look at it, like I said, a component. But it does, yeah. The coaching staff is everything. Ultimately, that's what ends up happening. I,
Yeah, our primary constraint with
mhm.
wanting to do what we do is time.
Time, yeah,
Our assistants are all part time. They work during
yeah,
the season pretty much
yeah,
on a very part time basis. So,
yeah,
you know, that's and we can complain about them. We're hopeful to be able to get a full time assistant, but the reality is you have to work with what you have, and
yeah, yeah.
uh, time is a
Time,
definitely a constraint.
yeah. So I looked at when I was looking at your schedule. I might be jumping ahead a little bit, but I just look at like the cadence of your games, right? Like, win, loss, tie, win, loss, tie. And it looks like you couldn't get like that momentum, that early momentum that some teams, right? Like if you go 5-0 to start a season, man, like things just sort of naturally happen and you're feeling really good, and you have a better chance of getting to your sixth win, and it just looks like you kind of, hey, we got to win. Oh, and then you would tie early on, or then you have a loss. I mean, would that be is that a fair way to look at that? I mean, is that something you felt?
100% fair
Yeah.
observation. It's accurate.
Hmm.
It's kind of what happened.
Yeah.
We kind of went in. We had a preseason trip to Costa Rica, so we came in August 1st,
Yeah.
trained for a week. Costa Rica, training, playing down there. So we thought the stage was set. We'd had a real good season the year before, but then some injuries. Honestly, we got caught up. I don't know if you ever read Pat Riley's book, but to some degree, we had the disease of me early in the season, and
Oh, yeah.
it was at the time we knew it was an issue.
Yeah.
And interestingly, in the postseason one-on-ones, came up as the number one issue for us. It
Yeah.
took too long to come together.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow, that's interesting, especially after the trip, and you think you have all this stuff going around where you're like, hey, we're really coming together, and then it doesn't happen, right? Like, that's,
Yeah, it really made me pause and give attention. So there's a bell curve of where
yeah,
everybody's at, and you, you got to be give attention to the everythhm. You really
everything.
do.
Yeah,
And frankly, the ends can be tipping points.
yeah,
And they were for us last year.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, was there anything that surprised you, or is a highlight from the team? Like, is there something that you walked away and were like, ah, man, that was just awesome?
Oh, sure. I think you know, when you realize you're struggling,
Yeah.
there's two ways it can go,
Oh,
and
yeah.
our guys showed great resilience because they knew we were struggling.
Yeah.
And frankly, some of the systemic challenges we faced never really resolved. They're resolved now, but um, so hanging with it. And
Mhm.
then we knew in October, okay, we could play, and clearly we're not prime, we're not
Yeah.
optimum, but we can play, and we can play with anybody. And we felt when we going into the Liberty League tournament, um, we were competitive and we were in the game, and frankly, we had opportunities to win that semifinal match against
Yeah. St.
St. Lawrence.
Lawrence.
Frankly,
Yeah.
it was there for us. We didn't, again, the attacking phase let us down a bit,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and they were a real good side. I mean,
Oh
Tosh,
gosh.
what a year he had in their
Great.
program, and
Yeah.
you know they were consistently the top team all year, and so But when it was going well, we felt we could be there.
Yeah, yeah. He he does something special up there. Like he's got a great program. He's a great guy, like one of the nicest
Great
guys
guy.
I've ever met. See him at a tournament, it's like, hey, simple coach, what's going on?
Yeah, he drags Kevin and I in the office right after the game, and
Yeah,
and he wasn't being contrite. This is
yeah,
how he is. Really nice guy.
yeah, yeah,
After a really competitive match too.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and like you said, they are very good. I mean, one of my favorite players, I thought he could be player of the year, was Marvin Sabanda, right there midfield. Like that guy is special. You watch him and you just see like, yeah, you're just on a different level of quality than everyone else. And
Agree 100%.
yeah,
He was a great kid too.
oh
He
yeah,
was,
that's what
he
I've
was
heard.
picking guys up off the field after our guys are shattered, and he's one of the guys going up and picking them up.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I've heard too. Like he's just an all-around gentleman on the field too, or in the game. So let me ask you, and again, you sort of alluded to this. You tied. I mean, you tied Brockport. You tied Marietta. You tied University of Paywall. Excuse me, University of Rochester. Um, RPI, and then Union. So you had five ties.
Hmm.
Would you? And I'm thinking in the context of not having overtimes anymore. Are you for or against not having overtime? Would you have preferred to see about getting like playing it to the bitter end against those guys?
Honestly, no. Certainly we want to get a result always,
Mm,
but because of the compression in college soccer,
mm.
I'm not a. I think, there's years where, so say with those 5 games we go into overtime and we play the full.
It's a whole other game. You
It's
get
a whole.
extra
It's
game.
2 extra games on the schedule.
Yeah.
We are already struggling to find. I mean, between recovery days
Hmm.
and pregame,
Hmm.
if you get a good training session in once every 2 weeks, you're in a good spot.
Yeah.
So, um, so yeah, that's where I stand on the overtime. To me, you got it. It's part of our game. It's the nature of football, and
Hmm.
I, we, and all those games were different. And I'd say our performances in all those games were different. Some were better than others. Like Brockport scored with I think 10, 12 seconds left, 30.
Oh my gosh.
But honestly, they were on the front foot.
Yeah.
We had scored and we were up.
Yeah.
And some other games that we drew, I mean, we're just again back to the attacking phase for
Yeah.
us where we struggled.
Yeah. Brockport was I was really impressed with them. I mean, they had it going this year.
Really good attacking team, a handful, just a lot of options up there.
Yeah.
They were a tough one. Gary had a great season.
Yeah. Um, all right. So tell me about that St. Lawrence game. That you, like I said, you went 8-5-5. You made the semis in the Liberty League tournament. And again, you lost to the eventual, like we mentioned, St. Lawrence. Like, what was that? What was that game like? What was your mindset going into knowing that you were sort of, I don't want to say struggling, but you had these struggles throughout the season that you were just, you were hoping, I guess, you're hoping to hit the good day against games,
Yep.
on certain games, right? And so, yeah, just curious as to how you thought that went. And
Well, we saw it as a great opportunity. They smacked us in the regular season. We had like a 15-minute period where they put 3 goals in on us, and we were on the back foot, right at the first half in the regular season. And I think that was end of September, maybe yeah, I think it was end of September. But by October, we were feeling good. We were confident. We went to Albany, Union, and drew against them, and frankly did not perform well that day. That was the last game of the season. I think it was indicative of kind of where our mindset was through the season, this up and down thing you talk
Mhm.
about. Just having the discipline to show up every day and trust what it is we're trying to do. And Union played well that day. Frankly, they scored late again, but honestly, second half we were on the back foot. So, but we had a great contest at RPI in the first round, away, on the road. And I think RPI was, they had their record was tough last year, but they were a good team, and we knew it.
Yeah.
And we had a great performance on the day. So then, kind of a quick turnaround. We got to go out and play St. Lawrence, but we were feeling pretty good. We were quote unquote healthy. We did lose a player going into the game, but honestly, where we were at, it wasn't affecting us. We felt good going into the game. Tough place to play, huge field, as you've probably heard, 80 by 130 or whatever it is. Maybe it's 120, but beautiful. Huge field.
Yeah, beautiful.
They have the space. And they were good.
So they're like, hey, let's make it huge.
So they stretch you out, and you got to be very disciplined.
Yeah.
And you got to take your chances when they're there. I mean, you could get chances against them, but we didn't take those chances that were given that we earned. And, they had a in the end, I think it was a fair result on the day, but we also thought we were right there with them.
Yeah. It's interesting, right? Because you're right. I'm just sort of looking, and just based on your comments so far, like maybe except for St. Lawrence in the first game,
Vassar smacked us too.
Vassar, yeah. See Vassar, but outside of those, like you're in every game. I always say, like, if you're it's a 1 goal differential if you're on the win or loss side, like there's something about that game that you're right there, and you are. I mean, like it's almost like that. You're just that close, man. If we could just, just do that one little thing, it would be big difference. But just a few more questions, unless I go down rabbit holes. But what are your plans for this spring? Knowing sort of the things that you have to address from the season, and like how are you looking at it?
Excited, always. I can't wait. We kind of sit around in this period, January to March, where you see the guys in the weight room, and you can watch them. They're playing futsal 3-4 times a week, and there's communication that goes on, but there's no real formal team training. So can't wait. Excited to see them on a regular basis. Excited to get back on the field. This is the beginning of our season. That's the way we look at it. So as I said, we'll get together off the pitch and kind of get alignment on what we expect of one another, what we expect of ourselves, and what we expect of the staff. And then we get to work. People look at spring and say, well, are you doing more individual development or collective? And I think it's always a bit of both. Mm-hmm. We have I'd say, a somewhat unique challenge in that because of RIT is heavy with co-op programs. So we have 6 upperclassmen who aren't on campus this semester. Mm-hmm. Leaders, more veteran players. Yeah. So you can say, well, that's kind of makes it harder, but really my view is it's opportunity for some younger players to step up, and that's what we'll look for. So that my mindset is on next Friday. We have a plan for the whole spring, but my focus right now is on a week from Friday when we get on the pitch for the first time.
I just thought of another question. So how next year you'll be able to you'll get more training days.
24 days, yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming you're okay with that. That's a good thing for you.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I understand the constraints in Division III relative to equity, and some programs don't even have full-time head coaches, and they don't have staff and facilities.
Yeah.
But I think it's wrong what we do with student athletes and constraining them. We tell them they can go in the weight room for 3 hours a week, but they can't do field training with their coaches.
Yeah.
I think that's a little misguided. I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
Our best development year was 2020.
Really?
We played 3 games in the spring.
Yeah.
There was no fall season.
Yeah.
That group, we grew so much as to culture, as to how we played, as to being together, tactically and understanding in detail. It was the best year because we had 73 training sessions and only 3 matches.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's interesting. No one ever said that before. Like the toughest of times, right? Like some of the most difficult decisions are made in those previous 6 months or whatever it
Yeah.
is, and then you end up having you consider one of your best years in
Development wise, I think
development
the
wise. Yeah, yeah,
player experience, it was
yeah.
tough,
Tough.
and
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
can't imagine being a college student during those years.
yeah.
Um, but certainly from a individual and collective development, no
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. Um, Okay, the other one that I'm assuming that's Louis Armstrong behind you. Like, are you a big fan?
Uh, Family, soccer, music, kind of big priorities for me.
Okay, all right. Like he's looming large. Like I'm like, hey, okay,
Yeah, I had my main room. It's all glass, and I
too
couldn't
bright.
get a good
Yeah.
spot to sit. So yeah, this is my music room. I got Bob Marley over there, Hank
Nice,
Williams, Beatles.
nice. That's funny. Hey, I just is there? I don't know, like academically, is it challenging at RIT that might other schools might not have just because of the very again, I always just think the STEM nature, and so I know my son's looking at schools. Like, there's a lot of demands that are placed on those kids because of the technical nature. Do you experience that? I mean, do you see that?
Sure. Uh,
Yeah,
RIT is a pretty diverse place academically. STEM certainly is a core,
yeah,
engineering, computer science, but we've
yeah,
got a College of Health Sciences where we got guys in pre-med. We've got a large business. The Saunders College of Business is a large entity. Got 4 or 5 guys in that program,
mhm,
and they're all rigorous. It's a challenging environment, but that's what kids sign up for when they
yeah,
come. And that's one of the things I like about our conference is there. I think there's a spectrum of
yeah,
schools in the United States, the 400 and whatever it is, 13 Division three. You
yeah,
know better than me, but in our conference, and is barred like RIT? No, but
yeah,
it's super challenging and
yeah,
rigorous academically. It's just really liberal arts based, where we're on like RPI more on
yeah,
the STEM side.
yeah. But interesting. Um,
Time is what we tell the kids. If you're going to be successful, you're going to give some things up
yeah,
outside of
yeah,
on the social side if you want to be a student athlete.
yeah, yeah. That's very true. I don't think, definitely in my experience, that wasn't drummed in, right? It was just like you played and then you were a student. It wasn't as vigorous as it is now, but it's very true. Like, there are sacrifices. If you're going to do this well and you're going to succeed, and both academically and on the soccer field, there's sacrifices that you have to make. I mean, without a doubt, without a doubt. And I always say, again, this might be age, but they're they're good sacrifices, right? Like, like are you partying as much as other guys? Maybe not, right? Probably not. You hope not. And that's not a bad thing, right? It's just so
No, that's spot on, and I think our number one opportunity every year with young people is getting them to see the value and that
yeah,
it is worth it,
yeah,
because it's exhausting, man.
yeah,
It's exhausting. We one of the other contributors I think to our season last year was me and our scheduling. We kind of got during COVID, we had some things drop out. We had
yeah.
teams drop out very late, and we had 11 road games.
Hmm.
We had 8 overnight trips. A
Oh my
typical
God.
year is 2 for us,
Dude, yeah, yeah.
and it
Wow.
was exhausting.
Yeah,
And I acknowledged that going in,
yeah,
but it was tough to manage. It really was.
yeah, yeah. Wow, that is true. I always say like I don't think people realize, you know, over the weekend it might be a little bit different because there's not the pressure of being away from class and all that kind of stuff. But the midweek, I don't think people appreciate how hard it is to do
Yep.
a midweek game, traveling, even if it's just 2 hours down the road, 3 hours down the road, your day is shot. Like it's the nature of it. So, um,
It's not for everybody.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like it does. And like I said, it's a commitment. It requires a sacrifice, and you want to be eyes wide open, which is what I think. I mean, this totally side tangent thought, right? Which is what I think a lot of kids that are going into, transferring from different schools, like I don't, it's not a bad thing. I'm not ripping them for it, but I don't necessarily think they were eyes wide open when they went through their process to select that original school, right? And then suddenly they get there and it's not what they thought. Well, if you paid attention, you probably might have noticed some things that
Yeah.
it was more aspirational than it was reality, right?
Yeah.
Which happens, right? I mean, they are, after all, 17, 18-year-old
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah, you're allowed to make mistakes. I think,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm kind of with you. I hope everybody has opportunity in life to change direction and make
yeah,
corrections.
yeah,
I just hope we haven't made it, to some degree. You don't want to enable, um, this a quitting behavior. A
yeah,
bad.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely. That you don't want to make it too easy for somebody to be like, I don't like it, I'm doing something, right? Like if you're making a commitment, you got to understand that commitment, and I think that's very true.
I wonder what So there's examples on the transfer portal
Hmm.
for schools.
Hmm.
That's going to change now. They've
Yeah,
adapted the rules a little bit, but for schools,
yeah,
I mean, what was I just can't imagine what's going through that young person's mind,
yeah,
thinking somewhere else is going to be better.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
Excuse me.
it, it's different, like the same level of sacrifice, same expectation. I always say there is no, forget the rules, and right, there's probably more intensity just in terms of commitment to where you're at a Division 1 level, but there's no difference between a Division 1 player and a Division 3 player in terms of effort, commitment, you name all those intangibles, right? Like,
Yeah, I think the balance is different, right? Clearly at Division 1, um, the time
yeah,
probably is a bit more, but the priority is
expectation,
clearly different when you're
yeah,
on an academics or an athletic scholarship. It's
yeah,
just how it is.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I like the clarity at Division 3.
No, I do too. I mean, that's why I think again, I was a Division 3 player, so um, you know, I do think there's an understanding, not for everybody, and you know, I do think that there's an understanding that you have 4 years to do this, and then you're off, and you have to make way in life, and you're hoping in college is going to help you get you there. You're not going to get a contract with Barcelona or Man United, Man City coming out of the Division 3 school, right? And so you want to be best prepared for that life ahead of you. And I think Division 3 recognizes that.
I think so too. Like I said, I know I'm in the right spot for me, and
Yeah.
um, I'm totally at ease with with the priorities that we should be reinforcing with our student athletes.
Yeah. Hey, what does your recruiting class look like for the fall? Are you done with it? Do you have your guys?
So I'd say we're about probably half completely done. Certainly we've identified the players we hope.
Mhm.
Um, we had about half. RIT, one of the things, and so there's two pieces. One, our early decision process is even later than most schools. So our regular decision kids, some of them still haven't gotten their financial aid package yet,
Mhm.
and we have three, maybe four more players that we're hoping that we've committed roster spots to should they decide to come. And at this
Mhm.
point, it's just down to financial aid. And
Yeah.
um, we had two early decision guys that committed, and
Mhm.
we're psyched about them. We always are, and
Yeah.
see great opportunities for these young men coming in.
Yeah.
We got a couple international kids that are part of this regular decision pool that
Mhm.
we really like and
Uh-huh.
are hopeful for. But the next couple of weeks, I think it shakes out.
Yeah. Yeah. You're either going to be really, you're going to be like totally pumped, or oh my gosh, I didn't, I the last few don't deliver, right? I mean, that's the pins and
Yeah, we're
needles.
in a good spot. We return 26 guys,
Oh
so
yeah.
um, it's not like we're thinking about how do we
Yeah.
continue? You have to continue to build every year. You
Yeah.
have to keep raising the platform, and that's what we're trying to do. But
Yeah.
we get nobody, and we're ready for the season. We
Yeah.
got
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
pieces.
So you're carrying what, like 32, 33,
We had 33 on the roster.
33?
We still got the COVID hangover, so
Yeah.
we did. Typically, we're at 27, 28, but
Mm-hmm.
with the guys being able to be around for 5 years, we've
Yeah.
gotten some latitude from the department to have a little bit larger roster. So we got this season and the season after, and then things will get back to close to what
Yeah.
they used to be.
Yeah. All right, last one. I'll let you get on with your day. Um, do you, do you have already outlined goals for the fall, or is it a little too early for you, or are you waiting for the to pull together the team and be like, you guys figure out what you want to do and accomplish?
So we'll have process goals that will be established pretty soon, right? So we reconvene the team and we start with we reinforce what our non-negotiables, which are our priorities, faith and family as well, and academics too, our IT soccer 3. From that, we cull through attributes, values that we know are going to be important for us to demonstrate and hold each other accountable to, and we establish a list of expectations. That'll happen in the coming weeks, early part of the spring. Performance goals won't really be established till preseason.
Yeah.
Process goals right now are the focus.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. This would be for something else. Do you have like a document that has that stuff?
We ultimately we do,
Oh,
yeah.
ultimately, yeah, yeah. All right. Well, I wouldn't share. I'm just really
No. It's a fair question.
Yeah.
I think you asked me about culture earlier, and I think there's lots of clearly the mental health of our student athletes, the visibility has risen. COVID, other state of society, critical. And I acknowledge that. I think we're we're cognizant of that, and we're intentional with that. But I try hard not to get caught up in. It's like I'm not a huge social media guy.
Yeah.
It's an important tool for recruiting and for visibility for the program. That's the extent for me. I think there can be, just because information's out there doesn't mean it's good information.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's what Abe Lincoln said.
he did. I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah. No, there's like, hey, Abe Lincoln, don't believe everything you see on the internet. Abe Lincoln, is quoted, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, well, I would subscribe to that.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, Coach, this is awesome.
Appreciate your time.
Yeah, I really do appreciate it. Wish you the best. Definitely, if we have a chance, let's connect before the season. Just sort of see what your expectations are and do a little bit of a preseason review.
Happy to do that. And I want to highlight, I know you go out and visit different facilities.
Yeah.
So we had phase 1. We put in new turf and lights last August, and I expect late this spring we're going to do the final phase of a stadium development project. It's going to be phenomenal. So when that comes around, we want to get you to.
Oh, totally. I'm totally up for that. I got to ask you, now I actually have your campus map up. So I go to Rochester on business, and I've driven through University of Rochester.
Yep.
How close or far are you from?
We're 5 minutes from the airport. U of R is 5 minutes up the river.
Ah, okay.
So we're just a bit south of the airport, and we're due south of U of R.
Oh, totally. I actually have to
Open invitation, man. Love to show you around.
Yeah, I mean, I did watch a couple of games of yours in the fall, and so your turf. I didn't know that was part of a bigger project that you're building. That's awesome. I've been saying we're at a point, especially again, small school or not, Division III doesn't matter. Like, I think table stakes are becoming like, what are the type of facilities that you have for the soccer program? Not I hate to say not shared because you share all this stuff, but like there's something to be said about schools that have soccer or lacrosse stadium versus yeah. And I think
we don't have, for me, we're fortunate. We don't have American football. We're the football team on campus, and we've got a great lacrosse programs, but they're spring, so we manage that, and we're very fortunate. Our IT is investing a lot in our athletic complex, and we're I couldn't be happier. Having been around for a long time, the last couple of years have been outstanding in that regard. There's more to come.
Yeah. Is it on campus?
Oh yeah, it's right in the middle of campus. Yep.
Oh really? Tiger Stadium. Well, that's Tiger Stadium.
Tiger Stadium. It's now called Doug May Field. We raised money through the program to have the new field named after Coach May, who passed.
Oh, okay. I'm definitely going to get up there. Like I said, I gotta work. I'm not getting up there in the winter. That's just the bottom line. No, I'm just telling you that. But,
see you in May.
Yeah, because I keep thinking it's St. John Fisher is up there too as well, isn't there?
Yeah, so Fisher's about 15 minutes from us, more on the eastern side of town.
Yeah, I did it. I did one of my things at.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, St. John Fisher, lovely, like beautiful campus.
Yeah. We're much different. We're a pretty sprawling campus. We're self-contained. We got all our own land. Like U of R is kind of embedded within the city.
That's why I didn't stop it. Well, and aside from the whole, you can't watch a soccer game on there because you have to pay $8 for. It really drives me nuts. But
those are free.
Yeah, no, I know. That's why I call them University of Paywall, because you can't. I can't watch their games.
Coach Apple's wise. He's probably got some influence there. It makes it harder to scout.
Yeah, yeah. So I didn't. That's why I didn't stop there too, because it was hard for me to say, like, where is campus? Because everything just sort of meanders into, there's like a hospital, like all this different stuff going on. I just got really confused, and I don't do well with that, so I just kept driving. I'll definitely get up there though. I'm really that'll be definite. So
cool.
All right, Coach. Thank you very much. Appreciate
it, sir. Appreciate your time.
Yep. All right. If you like this show, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. You can also find me on anti-social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks. This is a message from my Chief Marketing Officer. I think this keeps him happy.